Hey, good morning, guys. It's Z back with another episode of the Observant Freemason. And last night I was at coaching, and when that happened, I saw Brother Senior Deacon come into the lodge to do some work and get some practice time in. And I thought, you know what? That is the best seat in the lodge. So let's knock 3 times and let's get this started. Hey guys, it's Z back again. Like I said, I was in lodge last night doing some coaching. If you don't know why you should be coaching, I have an earlier video, like a way earlier video, that tells you that everybody should be a coach, and you should. Go take a look at that real quick. But my senior deacon came in and he was getting ready to do some practice because he's learning some of the degree work, and he was just kind of going through. And I thought, wow, man, that's really awesome that he's doing that. But think about why he's doing that. Why? Because that's clearly the best seat in the lodge. So why is it the best seat in the lodge? Well, when you think about what the senior deacon does, right? We know that the junior deacon kind of makes sure that 95 to sometimes 100% is taking care of the lodge on the inside, right? Acting as a protector. Well, we do have brother senior deacon that's doing that for the other 5%, maybe 10% if you're really lucky in your lodge and you're making sure everyone there is of the appropriate degree to be there. That's clearly one of the reasons. But we also take a look and go, well, it's brother senior deacon who is the one that brings the flag in, at least for our jurisdiction, to start the meeting. And how great of an honor is it to be the guy that brings in the American flag? And, thankfully in the area that we live in, we as Freemasons in our country are able to meet and not have to worry like our great-grandfathers or even grandfathers, knowing that they're Masons and the bad things that governments would do to them, because they were scared of Freemasonry. We in America are free to meet. We don't have to worry about anything. And he's the guy that's able to bring in that flag and remind us of our duty to our country. And that's awesome. What a great responsibility. That's one of the reasons why it's the best seats in the lodge. We also talk about how, like, when brother junior deacon is the first one to open the door. Well, who's the one that actually receives probably the candidate into Freemasonry? And even though brother junior deacon is the one that opens the door, which is awesome, and that's why it's a great spot to be in, brother senior deacon is the one that actually receives him into Masonry and into those degrees. What an awesome responsibility, and that's why it's the best seat in the lodge. If you've ever been a worshipful master, you know that your senior deacon and you are the ones that control everything that happens in that meeting, with the way that, this brother senior deacon knows where to go, when to go, what comes next in the degree, and things along those lines. And if you've had a senior deacon that doesn't know confidently what's supposed to happen, it becomes a little bit rough. But you got that senior deacon that's sitting at your right hand, and he knows what he's doing, and that degree is impressive. Like, it's like clockwork, man. It's awesome. It makes such a great impression on the candidate, right? But and we all know that, right? But what's the most beautiful thing about the senior deacon? Is the thing I think that most people are most concerned about, and we'd like to call that the fellowcraft degree. Now, I'm not a big studier of movies, but I do understand the idea of a trilogy, for instance. The first movie is always one that has, some pretty good action. You're introducing all the characters. You're doing all that other stuff. The third movie is the one that's, the epic, right? It comes to that final conclusion, and there's, more violence, more, everything. There's just some more of it, and makes it awesome. And we love that one. However, the second one in between of the trilogy is usually the one that people normally don't really pay attention to, right? Because what we have is that character development that's occurring in there. Now, if we think of the 3 degrees of Masonry, we can kind of think of them along that lines of that of a trilogy, of a movie. And I think most of the time people find that fellowcraft degree to be not necessarily their favorite of the 3 degrees, which breaks my heart. Right? Because in that second degree, that senior deacon takes that candidate and explains to him everything in what we obviously term the middle chamber lecture. What a beautiful lecture that really is, right? And the senior deacon that can do that lecture and do it well is like gold, man. Everybody wants him in their lodge because it's so impressive when that happens. When we start talking about the liberal arts and we start talking about all that other good stuff and what they mean and all that, and you really start getting that fundamental understanding of what some of this should be and the true education that we as Freemasons should be having, especially when we think about, breaking off the corners of rough stones, things along those lines, by a virtuous education, really taken to the next step, the next level in the fellowcraft degree, and provides really, such a wonderful explanation. But people, unfortunately, because it's the second degree or it's the middle of the trilogy, don't always like the longer, drawn out, more explanations. But that's what makes it absolutely beautiful. Because without that explanation, then the third degree is lacking, right? You have to have that second degree to really make that third degree good. You have to have that middle movie to make that third movie fantastic. Think of Star Wars, right? Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I mean the original Star Wars, by the way, even the prequels, the sequels. That's another beast altogether, right? But when we're talking about the middle of the original trilogy, it's good. A lot of people love the third one a lot more. They love episode 6 more than episode 5. But episode 5 gives you that true development. Without that development, episode 6 wouldn't be nearly as good. So I'm telling you right now, I 100% think the best thing, or the best seat in the house, is the senior deacon, because he's able to bridge that gap from the first to the third with his work in the second. And by doing that, he makes the first make more sense, and it's definitely going to have a stronger impact on the third. Plus, he's really the guy that he doesn't open the door, he actually welcomes him into Freemasonry. And that is why the senior deacon is by far the best seat in the lodge.